What's up, YouTube? This is Iron and Soul, back today with another video. Please subscribe to my channel. Like this video, leave a comment, share with a friend. Let me know what you think about my content. Well, let's do some work today, man. Let's talk about the hip-hop game. And I got about, I think this will be the 10th video currently on my page concerning hip-hop. I had a number of videos a few years ago, a lot of lives. I talked about this, 2-hour lives and whatnot. And I've always gotten pushback for addressing this subject. And the natural response to that would be to say, oh, well, you know what? My audience doesn't like this content, so stop doing it. But it's like a burden that God has given me that I refuse to let go. And sometimes the negative feedback doesn't mean what you're doing is something that is wrong. Sometimes you have to push through that. And God's given me a burden for this hip hop world. And I'm going to continue to speak on it. And I think there are two things with someone like me in your mind. The first thing is, if I say anything bad about these hip hop artists, you're just this intolerant believer in God, Christian, that's just corny, you know everything, don't nobody like you, blah, 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 right? And if I say anything positive about any of these guys, how could you? You believe in the Bible. You shouldn't be talking about this. And so basically, there's basically this undertone of just, you shouldn't be discussing this. And I think I should. If my audience, which is primarily men, 18 to 34, a lot of you guys listen to rap music, right? A lot of you guys are rappers. You guys, I follow you on Instagram. I know. Okay. I drop some hip hop songs. So hip hop is a voice. Let's start there. Hip hop is a voice in the earth. It is a language that is heard all over the world. It's a lot of sound. It is something that resonates with a lot of people for a lot of reasons. One of the things we can learn from this as I begin this talk, you got to stay away from snakes. Stay away from people who are disingenuous. Don't ignore obvious red flags in individuals. Never value money over your soul. The scripture is clear. What is a profit man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? Cars, jewelry, houses, and women can never satisfy the deep needs of a human spirit. If you want a verse on it, that's Ecclesiastes 3, verse 11. The eyes of a man, woman never lie. You can tell a lot about an individual, a person, by looking into their eyes. People aren't always who they appear to be. You know, scripture says in 2 Corinthians 11, verse 14, that Satan himself appears as an angel of light. So we can't always tell what we're looking at, to be honest. There are people who are very good at disguising their true motive and their true purpose. And I think the words of wisdom from Tupac Shakur, bottom line, don't support the phonies, only support the real. So what is going on in the hip hop world? Charleston White. You know, here is an individual that is consistently bumping heads with various men in the hip hop game. And just recently, you know, the conflicts between him and T.I. and Boosie's sons. And my thoughts, commentary on that is, why would a grown man, a man of his age, be in any type of conflict with a teenage boy? And T.I., he has some words to say about that, of course. Obviously, this is his son, King. And T.I. didn't like that the people, his fans, supporters, did not come to his support with this issue. And I saw this over on Instagram in the comment section. People were saying, you're a grown man, you can defend yourself. And that's true. But I guess I'm assuming now what T.I. was thinking. He wanted some of his fans to kind of jump in so that he didn't have to deal with this. That's my guess, you know, because he has a lot to lose in that regard. And he was hoping that his fan base would put pressure on this man to a point where he would stop talking about this and he would leave it alone. And, you know, stuff's coming out about this guy too. And I think this is happening right now in hip hop game. It seems like there's a revelation now. Stuff's coming out for what it really is. Charleston White had some weird going on years ago where he was on camera talking in his car on the phone, talking about he did something wrong to a female, you know. And I don't want to use the word in my talk, but you can look it up and just really showing the type of man he is. DJ Academics. You guys probably saw the video of him online, you know, pushing the female, saying I'm that nigga and all this type of stuff, man. And really just showing his true character, who this guy really is. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. People like Charleston White, DJ Academics, you know, Hassan Campbell, 6ix9ine, Whack 100. You got to really wonder what's to these men. What is their true motive concerning these various artists and men who they speak on, bring on their platforms? What is their goal? And actually, you know, I'm trying to speak in code. Who are they really working for? right? I want you to type in right now, if you're listening to this, I'm going to start something now. Who are these people really working for? Who are they working for? What's their true agenda? Other news in hip-hop, Gunna was still denied his bond, so he's still in jail for potential Fed case with Young Thug. And just recently in ATL, they now have another gang and indictment, and they're trying to link them to Future as well as Playboi Carti. You know, so there's just a lot going on. And I can't call the rapper's name right now. Some of you guys probably going to put it in the comment section. That might be the only comment you make, but you go put it in the comment section. The battle rapper, who was a legendary battle rapper, I can't call his name right now. Sure, some of you put in the comment section. Who's in jail right now for a Fed case. You know, and it's just really the clamps are being put down on these men. There's a lot going on. All of a sudden, all these guys are getting locked up. Fed cases, getting robbed, getting murdered in cold blood. You know, recently with PNB Rock, with his death, and so many others over the last 3 or 4 years. There's been like 15, 20 known rappers just dropping like flies. You think about NBA Youngboy. NBA Youngboy, he's just been running. You know, this 2022, I think he's getting ready to release his 7th album. You know, you think about Kentrell. He's had quite the year. In his 7+ years releasing albums and mixtapes, he has taken the rap game by just taking over in many cases. He has spent a lot of time in jail and house arrest before beating the Feds case. That doesn't happen. You know, beating the Fed case, that was just, when the Feds had him, I thought, mama, it's over for him. You know, because they don't miss. So him beating the Feds case was just, that was huge. And I didn't see that one coming. And so he's just continuing to rap and perform. He gave an insight into the life of a rap star back in 2017 with an XXL interview. NBA Youngboy said this. He said that if you got a name, the police know who you is. You do something, they gonna come to get you, and whoever with you, and with whoever they do. You are accountable for it just because you got the biggest name. That is the reality of what is happening in rap game. And I talked about that. You guys go check that out. I did about a 2-hour live, hour and a half, 2-hour live on Jay-Z's book, Decoded. It was an excellent book about the hip hop game, about 300 pages. You know what I mean? And I read that book. And when you read that book, just so much insight as to what hip hop really is. I think a lot of people who rap don't really know what hip hop is, don't really respect it. I mean, you are a young man rapping that prior to your hip hop career, you were not being watched by the feds. You were not being watched by the police as closely, by females, by men. Once you get into that lane, into that arena, like Tupac said best, 30 years ago, all eyes are on you. You are being watched. And Kentrell, NBA Youngboy saying the exact same thing. So it's something about jumping into this rap game that puts people on you. They on your bumper. So I think there's a lot of reasons for it. One of my opinions is that, people, the obvious is because they promote gangs and crime and drugs. And that's the only reason that this happens. And that's not my opinion. I don't believe that. That is part of it. Okay. They need to be held accountable for that. But in addition to that, the eyes are on them because this is a young black man who, in many cases, in their mind, is not supposed to have anything. You're not supposed to be wealthy. You're not supposed to have more money than me. And here it is now, you are making all this money. You're making more money than doctors, than lawyers, than all these, quote, professional people in the world. How did you do it? And so they're watching you to see how you got your money, how you're spending it. And if you mess up in any regards, they're there to take that wealth right from you. That's what happened to J.D. Younger when he died. From the stories I read online, them people came to, I'm going to just say them people came to his house and took that cash money right out their house as if it didn't belong to him. Okay? That's happening all the time. I did a test with my Facebook account, like 6 months ago. I should have put that TikTok in this video. And I said, I knew this was a test. I said, pray for NBA Youngboy. 0 comments. I ain't praying for that man. Somebody said on TikTok, he's a dove worshiper, blah, blah, blah. And so the very next day I said, pray for Beyonce, right? And there are about 20, 30 comments. Oh my gosh, what happened? Let's pray for the queen, da, da, da. And they're acting as if Beyonce and Youngboy not in the same secret society. Come on now. Y'all acting as if Beyonce and Youngboy are players on the same team playing different positions. It's that simple. So if you want to talk all that crap about young boy being demonic and a devil worshiper, what you think Beyonce doing? So it's a hypocrisy when it comes to the young black man. And all of a sudden now what he's doing is so much worse than everyone else that's in that same game. His last album, his last Slamito, his album, it had a gospel vibe to it. Blues, new school rap, old school mixture, shows that he understands what hip hop really is. Listens to it and is one of the best at creating rap in this current era. Let's talk about Lil Durk for a second. Lil Durk, you know, from Chicago, who was one of the faces of the drill scene, with songs like Else Anthem, This Ain't What You Want, OC with his cousin Nooski, rest in peace to Nooski. He became more mainstream and signed with Def Jam about 2014. During this time, his mixtapes Signed to the Streets were taking off, just taking off, people listening to him. It seems that the spirit of death just seems to follow Lil Durk. Anybody who is listening to rap music has been a part of the rap era, especially with Chirac 2010 to about 2022, last 12 years. You wonder, you know, I think FBG Duck's mama said it best. She said, what's to you? You know, and I think the same thing sometimes. What's really to this Durk character? Why is it that everybody that deals with him end up dying? OTF Nooski, his cousin, his manager, his brother, D-Thing, recently, King Von, and, you know, 4 members in Chicago are in jail right now for the murder of Duck. And Durk has unfollowed a lot of these guys. he turned on them right away. You know what I'm saying? He had a message on his IG back about 6 months ago saying he's getting back to school and get his GED. He's trying to switch gears. It seems like the more people die around him, the bigger his career gets. It seems like the more people that die around him, the bigger his career gets and the more he takes off. But for whatever reason, he's been kind of quiet lately. Durk has been somewhat quiet with all this happening in ATO. I believe Durk is probably practicing some type of witchcraft or voodoo. This is the reason I say this. This is something that's very popular down in the South. It's not as popular in Chicago and the Midwest. I'm not sure about LA or New York. You guys can comment if you know about that. But it seems like New Orleans, down in the South, ATO, there's a lot of that going on. You know, Kevin Gates has talked about it. Migos mentioned in one of their songs. I'm sure Durk's involved. You know, his whole energy and aura just changed once he got to Atlanta. Let's just leave it there. There was a certain level of authenticity and just a regular guy from Chicago vibe that he had prior to moving to Atlanta. And once he got down there, it's like it's something shifted. You know, the way he looks in his face, that stunned look he has. You know, there's something going on there behind the scenes when I take a look to. FBG Duck, I think he called it. He says in one of his songs, he believes that Durk and the industry were behind the death of Von. He said he sacrificed Von in one of his songs. He says Lil Durk is attached to some type of dark satanic energy. He says he used the voice for a reason. Who is he the voice for? You can answer that question. Let's talk about for a second human sacrifice. Human sacrifice is something that is mentioned often on various videos online. I'm sure you've seen the videos on YouTube. They've taken them down as of late. You can't get them as much as you used to, you know, but maybe 5-10 years ago, there were hundreds of videos online about the secret societies and what was going on. And all of a sudden, folks, you know, nephews end up dead, mama end up dead, cousins, relatives, girlfriend, wife, kids, you name it. What is it with the music industry and human sacrifice? Death in the music industry. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but you wonder about Jay-Z and his nephew. You wonder about Kanye's mom. You wonder about many of Lil Wayne's babies that he even mentioned in code on one of his songs, I Feel Like Dying. You think about what happened to King Von. Was that an accident or was that a sacrifice? You think about Jay-Z's nephew, Kobe Bryant, and the way he died and all that. You know, you wonder about Megan Thee Stallion's mother. You hear all these deaths, and of course, everyone dies. We know that. It can be anything. It could be a disease. It could be a car crash. It could be just natural causes. We all understand that, but it seems to be a lot of evidence that this is not just a number of isolated incidents. There is one thing to have an isolated incident, and it's something else to have a consistent pattern that you see. That's two different things. Human sacrifice goes back to ancient pagan religion. If you're listening this far, if you're not offended, I'm sure some are offended, that's okay. Type in the word Molech, M-O-L-E-C-H, Molech, which means in a Hebrew, king. It's the Hebrew word for king, Molech. And then you have Moloch, M-O-L-O-C-H, is the personified ruler of shameful sacrifice. So you have the Hebrew word king, Molech. The Phoenician MLK is a type of sacrifice made to confirm a vow. Okay, there are vows and sacrifices made when you sign these contracts. There are vows and sacrifices and rituals that happen when you sign this contract. So let me say a word right now for all of my inspiring artists, men, women, rappers, singers, entertainers, comedians, all of my creative people. Let me give you a word of warning. I know you want to be known. You want to see your talent showcased. You have ability. You know, and some of you, you have what it takes to get to that level. You got it. Just as he said in the L.A. Capone song, I got it. Some people just, you got it. But I want to caution you, brother, sister, against signing some contracts and not really knowing what you're getting yourself into. Because once you go down that path, now you got to do these rituals. Now you're somewhere in a room with some men and they're doing stuff to you. You know what I'm saying? You got to do some sacrifices. You have to push an agenda that they want you to push. You really lose yourself. That's the reality matter. Once you get to that level, you're not the same anymore. And so this is one reason, among others, why Yeshua, the Messiah, says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and to lose his soul? Right? So you have to consider that. Do I want to lose myself for this power and for this fame? And if the answer is no, then I suggest that you go the independent route. Just grind. You may not get there as fast, but if you got it, you got it. People will hear you. You will be appreciated. You will be seen. You may not make as much money. That's okay, but you will have your soul. You will have your family. You won't be afraid of what's going to happen to your son or daughter. What's going to happen to your people. And some of y'all, I'm be honest, some of you don't care. You don't care about nobody but yourself. And you will do whatever it takes to get that fame, to get that notoriety, to get that bag. And if that's you, you're not a good person at all. So when you think about this, Molech, the king, the personification or the ruler of shameful sacrifice, they had rituals, ritual prostitution, human sacrifice, and worship of false gods or demons was very popular in the ancient occult religions. So what you see now in the quote-unquote Illuminati or secret societies or Masons, whatever you want to call it, right? Them people, they're doing nothing besides what had been done thousands of years ago. This is old, ancient, pagan religion. Ritual prostitution, human sacrifice, and worshiping demons. The Phoenicians, modern-day Syria and Israel, they had sex rituals, a.k.a. WAP. Okay? Miley Cyrus' shocking music awards performance years ago was nothing more than a picture of a sex ritual that was done behind closed doors. J-Lord's Super Bowl with Shakira, Prince music award ceremony, and a host of others just gave you a glimpse, just a sneak peek of what happens privately. Let's talk about even the pagan religion practice of child sacrifice. They also practice child sacrifice. Passing children through the fire is a phrase that you see in the Old Testament Hebrew scriptures. Passing children through the fire is a phrase that you see in the ancient Hebrew scriptures. Couples would sacrifice their firstborn to ensure financial prosperity. That was happening. You had couples in these ancient worlds who would sacrifice their firstborn child just for money. Do you hear what I'm saying? People are, and there are people right now who will do anything for money. You will sacrifice friendships. You will become disloyal. People will do anything for that bag. And the influence of this demonic energy is so bad that it even got King Solomon. If you read the scriptures, King Solomon had a dark point of his life. As wise as he was, as gifted as he was, as close to God as he was at one point, even he was influenced by this demonic energy. King Solomon, as wise as he was, there was a time in his reign where he was influenced by this occult power and built a place of worship for Molech. King Solomon. Did you know that? And part of it was all of them women that he had. The scripture says that his wives turned his heart against God. You get around all these women, man, and you'll lose your mind, bro. And that's something that Jay-Z talks about in his book. A lot of men who get into that game can't handle all of that pressure coming their way. All of a sudden now, you can have any woman you want. You can buy any type of clothes you want, jewelry, cars, women all on your phone. Every man want to be your friend and homie now. Folks want to rob you. So you got all this pressure on you. That's why a lot of these guys are chain smoking blunts. It ain't as good. It ain't as nice as you think it is, bro. I listen to these guys. I listen to them Chief Keef interviews. I listened to G Herbo when he was on Hot 197 interview. And he was so depressed he was waking up drinking every day. Them chains can't save you, man. He's living this real life. With all of that money and fame and notoriety and respect, that's a pressure that the average person can't take. That's why a lot of these guys chain smoke blunts. Drinking just to calm their nerves. Because, imagine, we feel pressure in our lives every day on the level that we are on. Imagine waking up as a young man in your 20s and you got the feds, women, police, other black men, women, guys, everybody is watching you. You feel that pressure. And one slip up and you're done. They got you. Just waiting to catch you with some drugs. Waiting to catch you with a pole. Waiting for you to do anything wrong. Done. And they want to come right in and take that money right from you. That's the goal. So talk about what's happening in the hip-hop game. Charleston White. We talked a little bit about T.I., Gunna, Youngboy, Durk, Future, Playboy Cardi, the reality of human sacrifice. Let's talk about right now the women taking over the rap game. Glorilla, Cardi, a few others are really, they're the ones that are being pushed at the moment. And even with the best song of the year, many people thought the award should have went to Kodak Black for Super Gremlin. That's, it's all based on opinion. But nevertheless, a woman won that award. That's fine. You know what I mean? And so we see this shift in the rap game. As we see more of these men go to jail or end up getting murdered, who is being pushed in the rap game right now? You see it. The ladies and foreigners. It's going to get to a point where rap will be pretty much dance music and for the girls. It'll be just that. And many guys are going to fold and go right down the lane, not even stick to their morals, not even stick to the code, not even do what they've been doing, and I think that's going to be a shame when you see that happening. You're going to be surprised by some of these guys. They're going to surprise you with the route they're going to take with this rap game. That's why Drake had that dance music video, CD. He's really trying to prepare people for what's going to happen. And he's been like a gatekeeper in the hip-hop game. I got my opinions about Drake. I won't get into that today. Somebody typed to say, I got his opinions about Drake. I'll leave it right there, bro. I got my opinions about Drake and what he did to hip-hop. You know what I mean? I'll leave it there. You know what I mean? But by him doing that CD with the dance music, he's kind of giving you an insight. This is what's going to happen. I see the play coming. They killed all them rappers, all the men dropped like flies, pushed them out the way, locked other ones up, got a bunch of the guys scared right now. And while all this is going on, they push them right in, they're pushing the women in, and they're pushing the dance music to make it something more universal for the foreigners who want to hear the dance music. That's what's going on right now. Megan Thee Stallion. Robbed for over $300K in her house. Jewelry, probably some money as well, type of stuff. Over $300K. Why are these celebrities getting robbed all the time now? Megan, T Grizzly not too long ago. What is going on? What is happening in the hip-hop game where folks are either being robbed or murdered or put in jail? So you got Megan and, T Grizzly got robbed. And then you got a host of guys get put in jail right now. Gunna, Young Thug, the battle rapper, I can't call his name right now. I don't have it in my notes. Forgive me for that. I never heard him before this, so nothing against him. You know what I mean? He seemed like he was a cool brother. You know what I mean? I feel bad for him, to be honest. And it seemed like his past caught up with him. They got him on a fair case. You know what I mean? And so many others who I can't call right now. There's a bunch of guys that's locked down right now. You know, K-Flock over in New York City. Casanova, you know what I mean? There's a bunch of guys that's going through this right now. You know, it's going to be more to come, unfortunately, too. You know? And so you got all these guys getting locked up, robbed, or murdered. What is going on? We're seeing that there is a shift in the hip-hop world. There's a change coming. That's obvious. They're making an aggressive transition to what they want hip-hop to be. The people in power know how powerful of a voice hip-hop is. And so they're making an aggressive, I guess you can say, decision to change the direction, to shift what it was to what they want it to become. That's what's happening right now. So they're terrorizing. Shots fired at G Hobo's concert. You know, just somebody goofy, just doing goofy stuff at this point. You know, terrorize people's concerts, all this violence that's surrounding it. These are just a few of my observations from what's happening right now in the rap game. You guys who have heard this talk, I hope you enjoyed this. Leave a comment below. Share this video. And give me some of your thoughts. Send me some direct messages on what's happening in the hip-hop game. If you want me to do videos on this in the future, I would suggest or request that you give me some topics over in my IG comments, in my direct messages on Instagram. The King Jabez, drop me a video over there. Hey, look, big bro, this is what's happening. What you think about this? I will appreciate that. So I will continue to keep you guys informed on not just the Bible and spiritual growth and manhood, but also what's happening in the hip-hop world. Because many of you guys are in hip-hop, you're playing sports, you listen to rap music, if nothing else. And I want to give my thoughts on this hip-hop game. This is your brother, Untitled Chapter. I hope you enjoyed this video, man. Thanks for listening. Take care. Peace.